All right. Welcome back to another episode of the All American Hoops podcast. This is episode 111. Joining me, as per usual, is my younger brother, Matt Driscoll.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, John will also be joining us in a few minutes. He's doing some laundry in the city, which, that takes a while. And he's doing that because John and I are actually taking a trip up to Vermont this weekend. So we're very, very excited for that. And I got to do some last minute packing right before because we're leaving tomorrow. Sure, it surprises no one based on if you watch the show, you know how much I scramble my notes last second. I do the same thing with packing for trips too, which drives my girlfriend Olivia crazy, which she usually watches, but she's not watching now. She's actually making a last minute target run herself. So
so she can't be too judgmental this time.
No, not this time. So
yes.
So anyway, we got a great
Chris,
show
let me ask.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Have you started packing?
Okay, so believe it or not, my answer to that is actually going to be worse than no, because my answer is kind of yes. Because went to visit Olivia last week, and I never unpacked from that. So a good amount of the clothes that I didn't wear last week, those are staying in the bag. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I still got to pack my snow clothes though. So yes, so just that for sure. But we got a great show ahead of us today. It's going to be pretty much. I don't even anticipate how long it's going to be, but pretty much I think all we're doing is going to talk about the trade deadline, and it was a pretty active one. So we got a lot of bases to cover. I didn't even send an agenda to John and Matt. I just sent a very, very long list of all the deals that were made in the last month. Didn't include the Trae Young one because that was over a month ago, but every other trade after that I included. But before we do that, we're going to do our usual business and listing off famous athletes' birthdays. And I guess famous is we'll use famous with the loose term because a couple of these aren't really that famous, especially for the NBA. But on basketball reference, the way to sort birthdays, like the way that I sort it at first, is sorting it by win shares because that usually shows the better players first. But in this case, the two guys with the highest ones is this guy John Beasley. I don't know. He was born in 1942, if I'm not mistaken. So, was it 1942? I don't even know. I don't know. But the other one being Terrence Ross, who's very very solid role player, very good 3-and-D guy, everything along those lines. And of course, happy birthday to our young prince Hugo Gonzalez of the Boston Celtics.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was born in 2006, so which brings me sick to my stomach. He's 7 years younger than me, so it's weird because I remember when Zion entered the league, or you know what it was? It was when Luka entered the league, and then it was like, oh wow, he's only 3 months older than me. That's pretty insane. I would like close, and then now it's Luka was drafted in 2018. Yeah, so the 20 you have to say him. Yeah, so 2018. Yeah, so 7 years later now. We have Hugo Gonzalez. It's 2026. 8 years later? I keep on thinking 2025. Yeah, so 8 years later we have Hugo Gonzalez. Born in 2006, and that's just disgusting. That's 2 years younger than our baby sister, so it's wild. MLB, we have two Hall of Famers, the former home run champion leader Hank Aaron and Roberto Alomar. And then NFL, the only one I was familiar with is Hall of Fame. I think Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely Hall of Famer, actually. Roger Staubach. He was the one that was born in 1942, if I'm not mistaken. So, so pretty wide range of birthdays, both in ages and in styles of play. And in pretty much everything actually, except for the fact that all these guys manage the professional level of playing sports. So last year's NBA trade deadline was, I think, the craziest of all time. Obviously the Luka trade was objectively the most wild trade of all time. I know some people will try to come back and say that Ralph Sampson or Dominique Wilkins getting traded were as crazy, which those I wasn't there, so I wasn't there to see the reaction, but I do know that none of those guys were top 5 players while they were playing, at least at the time of the trade. But yeah, Luka Doncic was traded. De'Aaron Fox was traded from the Kings to the Spurs. Jimmy Butler traded from the Heat to the Warriors. Missing one for sure. Another Brandon Ingram. There's one more for sure that I'm missing. I can't bring it to mind, but I'm sure there's one that I'm missing. But and then even in 2023 it was that both KD and Kyrie were traded too, from the Nets to the Suns and the Mavs. Obviously 2021 where James Harden was and Ben Simmons flip. Those are just some of the most. I'm just listing off some of the crazy deadlines / the crazy individual trades that happened. But This year was one of the most unique I've ever seen. Matt, you're looking up. You're looking on the iPad now? I don't know if you actually found something, but or I could be totally making it
No,
up.
I'm trying to sign into my Gmail to get the list of everyone that was traded. But
Okay.
I will say to not to steal your thunder here, but you said like yes, last year was probably the craziest just because of the Luca trade. But I will say I feel like there was way more trades this year than last year.
There
I don't know if
was, yeah.
that's just paying attention more or if that's
So I don't know if there was more trades this year than last year, but I do know is that I feel like last year the trade deadline was crazy, but everyone knew it was going to be crazy. This year's trade deadline, I don't want to say it was wild, but it was definitely it was a lot more eventful than I thought it was for sure. I think today wasn't too wild besides the Zubac trade, which we'll definitely enter. But like leading up to today, there were it was very active the last couple of days. So. I just kicked my microphone, so that's the issue there. Um, so yeah, that's definitely that's definitely what I think is that like the expectations weren't that high, but however, definitely one of the more active ones in the past couple of years for sure, if you're not counting last year. But then again, NBA trade deadline is always wild. We did one. We did a baseball trade deadline a few months ago. It was July 31st with Clem from Barstool. Definitely one of my definitely one of my 10 favorite episodes. I would definitely argue one of my favorite episodes for sure. But yeah, well, yeah, just the two, and then John, three of us tonight. We're gonna have our friend of the pod, Jacob Blumberg, come on to celebrate Giannis not being traded. I actually invited him on last week because I was that confident that he wasn't gonna be traded, but he had a meeting tonight for a summer camp that he's been working. He's been working at the same summer camp, so he's 26 now since he was literally like 12, like 14 years old. So so that's pretty cool. But
Chris, did you send a link? I mean, a list of the.
I shared it with the both of you in the doc. I think.
I don't see a doc.
No, Matthew Driscoll 5.
Yeah,
No,
I have the link for this, but I don't. Oh,
did you get it?
No, but I can. That's all right. Hold on. Oh, I did.
You did. Okay, that's yeah.
Yeah.
It was a couple hours ago.
Disregard.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of the way that we should break this down. So I'm thinking, yeah, like I know sometimes we do the winners and the losers, and everything like that. So why don't instead of doing winners and losers, I guess we'll do that at the end actually. So why don't you tell me, just why don't you tell me your favorite trade that was made at the deadline? It could be a team contending. It could be a team trying to rebuild. It could be just two teams a win-win. What was your favorite trade that you saw from? Actually, before you do that, actually, John has officially joined us. So, John, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late.
Of course.
Prepping for our trip this weekend, and that entails doing some laundry in the laundromat in my building. And I threw in, so you pay like $2 per wash, and then the dryer is like 40 cents per 10 minutes. So I put in the wash, 2 loads of colors and whites, and then they give you a card, and you go and you can upload money onto the card. So then I go to put money in the card, and it's failing. Like I can't put any money onto the card.
Uh-oh.
So now I have 10 cents left, and I had to figure out how to put more money on the card so I could dry my laundry. Long story short, I figured it out, and it's in the dryer.
Thank God.
Was that just a subtle flex that you have laundry in your apartment complex?
Yeah, I was gonna say
you don't have to go to a laundromat.
Yeah, I mean, I used to just bring it to the laundromat around the block from my apartment, and it would be like 4 or 5 times the price. But I miss that some days. Like,
yeah, I completely forgot that. Yeah, I actually completely forgot that you had a laundromat in your building. But
yeah.
we did touch a little bit about the trip. So yeah, we're both very excited for that, and we're also excited to talk some hoops tonight. You also missed a great list of birthdays, John, Ugo Gonzalez, and Hank Aaron. So and
wow,
with a few others.
Ugo.
So quite the range of athletes and history as well. So but Matt, why don't you just give me what you think your favorite trade was that you saw in the past few weeks? I guess past few, like week or so probably.
I would say my favorite one actually happened today. You mentioned it earlier. Is the Zubac trade to the Pacers. I think it's very interesting because it was a pretty good, pretty big haul for the Pacers to give up to the Clippers. But I mean, that's what you're gonna get. Well, Chris, what would you say Zubac is? Top what center in the league? Definitely top 10. Would
Definitely
you
top
say
10.
he's
Yeah. Like, I know the
arguably
both of
top
us.
5 or
I'm,
probably
I'm I'm
not?
pretty sure the both of us had him like 10 on the dot entering the season. It was either 10 on the dot or like just like around the edge of that. But based on what I'm seeing this season, based on like Anthony Davis slipping and a few others just not being as good, I'd definitely put him in like the 5 to 8 area. I'd probably say.
Yeah. So like you said, top 5 to 8 center in the league goes to the Pacers, who needed a big man after losing Miles Turner this offseason. But then the Clippers also get Bennett Mathurin, who was a an all star for John's fantasy team for a couple weeks there. Isaiah Jackson, who was solid. 2 first round picks, which are top 1 through 4 protected, and I think 10 through 30 protected. So if the uh, if the Pacers kind of get screwed in the lottery and end up being the 5th through the 9th pick, the Clippers have that pick, which is, neat, well needed for them. And they also got a 2nd round pick out of it too, which I have a theory about 2nd round picks, conspiracy theory, but we can
Ooh.
touch on that later.
No, why don't we touch on it now? Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it now, but like let's do it now, just because like second round picks have, like in my opinion, have become more important actually. So we can actually argue this now. What's your take on second round picks?
I don't know
Fake.
if they exist fully.
Fake.
I
Okay,
don't think like Jay Crowder gets traded for 5 2nd round picks, and you expect me to think that they're, have any sort of value in a trade. I feel like they just kind of throw it on. It's like when I'm trying to trade for like a stud in dynasty fantasy football, and I'm just like, all right, I'll throw in 3 4th rounders in the next 3 years. Like, who cares about that? However, there are some gems in the 2nd round, but I don't know. I don't think they
I
exist.
was gonna say, Matt. Actually, we have a surprise guest in the pod today. Jordan Walsh will actually be joining us. So why don't you tell him how useless second round picks are and tell him how he's not important to
Well,
our
not
viewers.
2nd round picks if your GM isn't Brad Stevens.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. So, um, so anyway, no, but like as a whole, what you're saying is correct. But for the most part, that's correct. But well, like I also do think that second round picks have definitely become much more important as far as it goes for the second apron, and I'll actually revisit that when we talk about another team later. They weren't involved in this trade at all. So um excuse me. So the Pacers trade is going to be very, very interesting. I think that it was a very, very good trade on both sides for sure. Actually, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to say both sides, because like it's a very risky trade for both sides. How about that? So
Yeah.
the Pacers have been embracing the tank all season long. Like like this, people wondering the Celtics and the Pacers are going to be like fighting for the tank job. Like Brown and Siakam are like the only two great players on both teams. Everyone else stinks. They both went completely opposite directions. Celtics are now second. I can't remember whether the Knicks jumped them out. They're either second or third in the East now. And the Pacers are like near the bottom of the barrel in the East. But that being said, they decided, hey, you know what? Let's start thinking about next year. Maybe they saw a couple of workout clips of Tyrese Halliburton that haven't been posted, saying like, wait, this guy looks just as good as he did before he was injured, and we think he's going to come back better than ever. Let's not worry about maybe potentially pairing him up with one of our with our young draft pick. Let's try to bring in someone. Let's try to bring in a top 5 to 8 center in the league, especially someone who fills a void from what we did, and who could potentially be one of the best pick and roll partners in the game. It's also very weirdly protected. Like if the pick lands from first to fourth, then the pick still goes to the Pacers. But then if the pick goes, then also the pick goes from, what is it, 10th, or I think it's
10th
either
and
10th or
30th.
11th. What
10.
It's 10th, not 11th. Okay, yeah. So 10th to 30th. So basically, the Clippers are relying on hopefully the Pacers land between 5th and 9th for the pick, because we desperately need a draft pick. They've been literally been looking like the best team in basketball for the past like month and a half now. But I think that Steve Ballmer is correctly looking in this the right way and saying, hey, listen, like this is all fun and great vibes and everything, but this team's ceiling is first round exits. There's like I don't see a world where we finally win a playoff series for the first time since 2021. So why don't we sell our stocks while they're high? Zubac is just as high stock as he was ended this year. James Harden's stock is high as ever. They didn't do anything to Kawhi, which I understand. You don't want to completely blow it up, but we don't have a pick this year. So let's try to see if we can get a weak pick by trading one of our best guys and then just see where it takes us from here. So I think that's going to be a very, very, very interesting way to end the season. Is obviously, I don't know what the Pacers are going to do. I don't know if they're going to continue to tank or if they're just going to or just continue to try to play the best basketball. Like the players have been trying, but I don't know if what's his name, Carlisle and the GM front office are going to say, hey, listen, let's sit Zubac and Siakam tonight and then tank. So I don't know what their mindset is, mainly just because the lottery can go so many ways. And actually, Jack, aka Jokic Joestar, actually said something like, I think he made a video saying that, like, as of now, like the 4 worst teams in the league, record wise, have the don't have control of their first round pick. So like the Pelicans gave their pick to the Hawks for Derek Queen. The Thunder gave their pick to the Clippers gave the pick to the Thunder. Obviously, someone gave the pick to the Spurs. I don't remember who. Is it the Kings? Probably. Yeah. The Kings did give their pick. The Spurs gave their pick to the Kings. Yeah, there were 2 more teams. I can't remember off the top of my head, but like either way, they don't have control of their picks. So it's going to be one of the more interesting draft lotteries that we've seen in a very, very long time for sure. Yeah, John, what about you? Were there, any trades stand out to you more than the others?
I mean, yeah, I would say there was a couple that stood out to me. I mean, I went to sleep last night and woke up and saw that Porzingis got traded to the Warriors. I know they were trying to offload Kuminga for a while, and Buddy Hield doesn't really have much value, but I think Porzingis has played like 17 games this year. So it's I, I saw a bunch of Warriors fans on Twitter convincing themselves, "Oh, but if he stays healthy, that's a great ad." I think every team that Kristaps Porzingis has played for has had that cope before. Just be ready to kind of take in the fact that he's going to shit down his leg and not play in an important playoff series like he did last year. My favorite move was obviously the Celtics trading for Vucevic. I think while Zubac would have been really exciting because he kind of lines up with Tatum and Brown age. He's got a pretty good contract, very, very good defensively. I think this fills a need. We've all been really pleased with Kada in that role, but I think he'll be even better in like a backup center sort of position. They needed big man depth. This gives you a starting big man that can give you a double-double on most nights. Obviously, the concern is his defense. But you never know. Hopefully, he gets involved into Missoula's system. Maybe they can shield him a little bit on the defensive end. But one last thing I'll say is Anthony Simons. We all love Anthony Simons. He played really well this year. He wasn't going to be here for the long haul, though. I think you have a lot of guards with White and Brown. And having a guard like him off the bench is really valuable. I just think he'll probably go somewhere where he can get more minutes and play a bigger role. But yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, John. It's interesting. Yeah, you mentioned his defense, and I know that there's like a fight going on Celtics Twitter, which feels like anytime anyone does anything ever on Twitter, the Celtics Twitter blows up. I don't know. I don't know if this is just a universal thing, but it feels like we're part of the. Like, it feels like we're part of like the dumbest fan bases ever, based on like any move like between the Giants and the Mets and the Celtics. The Giants is more justifiable to everyone. I feel like Giants Twitter is more united as far as it goes for everything there. So like people are saying like oh, the Celtics got rid of a defensive liability in Simons, but brought in a bigger defensive liability in Vucevic, which to give those fans leeway and just say, okay, maybe it's true that Vucevic's defense is going to be more detrimental to the team than Simons' defense is, given that rim defense is more important than perimeter defense. I can also fire back with that and say, okay, yes, but however, he also brings a bigger luxury on offense than Simons does, because as awesome as Simons is from 3, as great of a slasher he is, there are a lot of guards in the league that can do that. there are not many centers in the league that can stretch the floor as well as Vucevic does. And I know like it's one of those things where like people would always talk about how like oh let's bring in like a guy like Brook Lopez who can defend the rim well and shoot the three ball. There are not many centers that can do that. Like Al Horford, Brook Lopez. Like I'm listing off watch players but like Al Horford, Brook Lopez, Anthony Davis. I don't know, like Bam Adebayo wasn't really a good 3-point shooter. But I'm trying to think. I don't know of many other guys that are great defenders. While can shoot the three really well. Obviously Embiid is one of those guys. Wemby, obviously. But it's rare
Definitely
to
a
have
rare
a guy.
breed.
What was that?
There's definitely a rare breed. Like it's usually like one or the other with big men. Like either I don't
Yeah,
know.
for
Oh, do you say
sure.
Miles Turner? He's a pretty good defender. I don't know if you
Miles
mentioned
Turner
him.
is a good. Yeah, he's a good rim defender. Yeah, like he's a good shot blocker. I don't know if he's that good of an overall defender though. But yeah, I would definitely say like yeah, not every team is going to be perfect, and the fact of the matter is that we. I think the Celtics can win the championship this year. I think all the cards of the player are for them. I think Tatum has to come back healthy and look as good as he used to be. I think that like matchups have to work out for them. It'd be tough for them to beat the Knicks this time around. Given that like the Knicks kind of have the momentum towards them and that they've been playing together all season long. Like the Celtics would really have to run into either an injured team or a team that doesn't have much experience. Like if they ran into the Pistons in the conference finals, that would be tough. But like it could be seen as something going their way, mainly just because they're going up against a team that doesn't have any experience. So could the Celtics win the finals this year? Yes. I think that they can win the finals with Vucevic as their starting center. But I also think that they need to build their team slightly better around like they need like better backup defenders. Yeah, Kate has been a fine starting center. He's going to be an even better backup center. I do think that we should try to improve on that end in the offseason. Before I dive deeper into the Celtics, because I do want to talk a little more about the Celtics. Matt, do you have any takeaways on any more takeaways on the trade?
Just on any trade or just the Celtics trade? Sorry.
The Celtics trade.
Oh no, you guys kind of touched on a lot of the points. Like I liked Simons. I think he had a good half season with the Celtics, but like John said, wouldn't fit the plans. And
Definitely.
a shooting big man is more valuable than a bench scorer, like especially if you have Peyton Pritchard on your team.
Absolutely. So the thing I wanted to mention to add on to, Matt brought up Brad Stevens earlier, and I think that this is going to look. Everyone talks about the Marcus Smart KP trade. That was an awesome trade for them. People talk about how great the Drew Holiday trade was for them, and there weren't any big moves made at this deadline. But however, I do think this was one of the better Brad Stevens trade seasons, or like off season slash trade season. This was literally the guy playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers, because he's looking at this in the long run. He is seeing, okay, so we have the situation, we're slightly over the tax, and as far as goes for like building roster spots, let's cut these guys and try to get something back for them. If we can't, there's no big deal. We'll trade we'll trade Chris Boucher, who I thought was going to be one of the starters. We'll trade Josh Minott, who was looking awesome but has been injured, and we'll trade Xavier Tillman, who was a key piece, not key, but like he was a fun piece to our 2024 championship run, but he's clearly not who we were hoping he was going to be. So we'll cut those three guys, and we still have 12 guys, and the season has like 67 more days left, and I think for like 30 something of those, they need to have like a roster of 13, 14 guys, and they're able to make the flexibility work to where they can either promote some of the G League guys. They already signed Amari Williams to the standard deal, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it was standard, but it was definitely a multi-year deal for sure. But I've loved what I've seen from Brad Stevens. Like, I know people are complaining again, like this about like, ownership is showing that the only thing they care about is spending money. They don't care about building a championship contention roster, and I just think that's nonsense. Ownership is it's one of those things where, well, like if you know that you're not going to have a chance to win, but you have a vision in the future, like I think ownership is allowed to prioritize the money and not spend extra money where they don't need to. I don't know how much this affects them long term. Like I know that we're gonna look next year at the salary guide or whatever we call it. It's the hell is it called? The whatever, like the of the roster, the money. They're going to be over the tax again. But I don't see that as an issue as of right now. I think that Brad Stevens made the proper moves they needed to for this year, and I think that it is going to benefit them in the long run for sure. Cool. So, yeah, you guys give yours. What was my favorite draft? What was my favorite trade? Let me just, yeah, I have my handy.
I have another one if you want to look.
You know what? I'll actually give mine right now. This wasn't my favorite one, but it's something. It is definitely one that I want to talk about. Um, yeah, I did want to talk about James Harden being traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland in a second round pick. It's one of the more fascinating trades in the deadline for sure. What was it? Monday nights, I think we got the notification. Monday or Tuesday night, I don't even remember. That we got the notification. That yeah, it was Monday night. That like Harden and the Clippers are parting ways, and it's like you're surprised to see it, but then like when you think about it for 5 seconds, you're like, you know what? No, this is not surprising. This is for it to come out of nowhere. What is this? The fourth or fifth trade? And I think it's like the fourth trade in 6 years. That's occurred for James Harden. And yeah, Carson from Nerdsesh like made like a good point. Like this, we've seen superstars like age out and get traded, but James Harden he's gotten slower for sure, but he's still an all-star caliber player. He's still a very, very solid player. He's a top 10 point guard in the league for sure. And he's just getting tossed around all over the place. We'll keep it PG here. We're not going to say what it usually is, but yeah, he's getting like thrown all over the place, and it's just interesting to me because I do think this does help the Cavs in the short run because as much as big of a fan as Darius Garland as I am, I thought that last year he was like an All NBA caliber player. I think there was arguments that he could have started the All-Star game last year, and but the fact of the matter is that this is the second second year out of three that he's playing straight up disappointing, and I know that's both of those are because of injury. Like 2024 is because of his jaw, and 2026 is because of his toe. So and toe injuries apparently are like the most underrated, like painful injuries out there. So, but like I do think it does help the Cavs in the short run because I think that Harden's he's a better scorer, he's a better defender, and he's the better passer as well. So, it does help them in the short run. I think that D-Mitch and Harden are going to be a fun offensive duo. But come playoff time again, this is the whole story with James Harden. Is come playoff time. I know Darius Garland, which I'm not going to let Darius Garland off the hook because I think he's one of the poorer playoff droppers in the league as far as goes for both performance and availability. One of the main reasons why the Cavs haven't been past there. But this kind of feels like they're like kind of it's like one of those things where like you're taking one step forward and one step backwards at the same time, because if you're expecting James Harden to be this big upgrade in the playoffs, I think you're severely mistaken, because we see time and time again that he might play well for the first game or two, but then come game 7, which most playoff series last for game 7, he takes like 8 shots and makes like 2 of them. He'll take 14 shots and make 3 of them. So this is a guy who just constantly shies away from the big moments. And a team like the Cavs, if they're looking for the future, they shouldn't be trading for an old guy like James Harden. But if they're going all in, they want to try to win a championship, which I definitely don't think they're in the position to, unless you think that Garland was like the true anchor holding your team back, which possibly I'm not saying otherwise. Then you shouldn't be trading for James Harden. This is not a guy that's going to bring you over the hump. And I don't even know if he would have brought them over the hump if this was 2018 James Harden. Maybe we're over exaggerating there, but yeah, that's my anti James Harden rant for the day. But Matt, any takeaways on that one?
Yeah, Cavs are in kind of a tough spot. I know they're realizing that the core that they had wasn't it, and they weren't going to compete with the better teams in the East, and especially the better teams in the West. So they kind of blew it up, but it's kind of like not blew it up, but they shook it up, and it's kind of a weird area where they shook it up and then traded for an older guard who, like you said, Chris, has a history of disappearing in the playoffs. And then next year, I believe next year the Jared Allen extension kicks in, so he's going to get paid $30 million a year. Do you extend Harden, or do you just kind of run with this squad, see what happens, and then if it doesn't work out, you let Harden walk in free agency? But Harden also had not a no trade clause. He had something weird where he had to like approve the trade or something like that. So maybe he knows a little something about being extended, even though he's not allowed to talk extension before the season ends. But I don't know. I don't really love this trade for either side, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you're swapping one playoff dropper for another. One just happens to be a lot younger.
Yeah,
Now, I think both teams probably assumed that neither would be, a part of their future plans. Um, but from my perspective, if James Harden wants to sign an extension in Cleveland and they recruit LeBron James, they become, a contender in the East.
yeah, yeah,
So maybe that's what their thought process is. They're kind of in a no-win situation. If you could, if you ride it out with Darius Garland, I don't think him as your, call it third best player, second best player is enough to win a championship.
yeah,
Um, so just getting something for him, even if it's like a kind of see if you can catch lightning in a bottle with Harden right now. But
yeah.
we'll
Fair
see.
enough. Yeah, yeah. We will see.
Chris, I have another trade to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
It's more just in general about a team. The Charlotte Hornets made a couple moves,
They sure did.
which I kind of like them. They've been playing very, very good basketball. January was an awesome month for them. Since the new year, believe they're 13-6, maybe 12-6, since the start of the year. And then they picked up here. I'm pulling it up now. Kobe White and Mike Conley. And they traded Colin Sexton, Uzme Dang, who I don't even know if he played a game on the Hornets. And then 3 second-round picks. I think Kobe White is kind of severely underrated. I don't know if I just watched a good amount of Bulls games in college because I know Dean was a fan of him. Um, but he's averaging over 20 points a game this year, I believe. Maybe if you want to fact check me on that or close to it. And then Mike Conley has won like the sportsmanship award like 8 times. Like that's gonna be great for their locker room. A vet presence there.
Shout
I
out
think they
to
could.
shout out
Go
to
ahead.
sports. Shout out to Tony Sports Fluent for he loves Mike Conley because he took his son Fluent Jr. to a Pistons game, and Mike Conley, I think they were playing the Wolves, and Mike Conley had to be there, and then he like stopped and talked to them for like an hour. So
Really?
yeah, a good long time. So yeah. So shout out to Mike Conley.
I think he has 0 techs in his career too. Like he just seems like a great
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
So I thought the Wolves were making these moves, or Wolves or Chicago are making these moves to shed salary to get Giannis, but it seems like they were just shedding salary anyway. But I mean, the Hornets obviously aren't going to contend, but I like what they're building right now. They have a lot of young players that are solid and um, seem to kind of have settled the locker room from previous years.
And they also traded for Tyus Jones. I don't know if he's going to be he's going to be around for a while. They also traded for Xavier Tillman, obviously. And they traded. Oh, we know they didn't trade for Tyus. Oh, they traded for Tyus Jones. And they flipped him for Malachi Branham. And then they got Xavier Tillman for I'm assuming that maybe they gave up like a second round pick or some cash maybe. But yeah, I like what the Hornets are building too. They've looked like a very, very solid basketball team. I'll give a shout out to friend of the pod, Denver White. He was a Kemba fan growing up, and when he was drafted out of college, and he just stayed a Hornets fan. I don't know why you do that, but but like I sent this in our group chat the other day. This was as of Monday, so the best 5-man lineup. So for 275 plus possessions, the Hornets starting 5, or I guess 5-man lineup of LaMelo, Concanapple, Miles Bridges, and whoever the two other is that not Mark Rollins, but like the two other.
Musa Diabate.
That's who it is. Yeah, that's
He's good.
that's who one of them is for sure. So, and I guess Brandon Miller is probably the 5th one. But they're at like it's only 381 possessions, but they're at a plus 33.8 net rating. It's the best in the league. 15 points ahead of the Celtics, by the way, for second place. So yeah, very, very limited data, but it's also pretty cool to see what the Hornets are building, especially with our guy Charles Lee running the show there. So I knew that was going to be a good hire for them, and I'm happy that that Joe Mazzulla has started his coaching branch already better than Bill Belichick. So very cool to see.
Yeah, I'm happy the Hornets are stuck with him too. I know a lot of teams overreact and fire coaches even when they are supposed to be tanking. So
Definitely, yeah. There's one trade that's John talked a little bit about the Porzingis trade. There's one more trade though. I'm sure there's a list. Okay, yeah. There's one
Jared
more superstar
McCain?
trade.
Oh,
No, not
superstar.
one more superstar trade. That's Anthony Davis being traded to
Oh, yeah.
the Wizards. Yeah, that shows you how that shows you where AD's career has gone. The fact that like that wasn't like one of our first ones that we thought of were half hour into the show. But yeah, AD was I was describing. It's funny. I was describing this trade yesterday to Dad. And then he said, "What'd they get from a bag of chips?" And I'm like, "Well, no, it was AD and a bag of chips for a bag of chips and 2 firsts and 2 seconds." He's and then he said like they really got a 2 first round picks for Anthony Davis, which it, and which is funny because that's shown how far AD's career has gone down. Like entering the season, I had AD as a top 10 player because I was confident that he was gonna come back to like that version of like the best defender in the league and also being like a top 5 offensive big in the league as well. So like really being like a key piece to the Mavs and hoping that Kyrie was going to come back and they were going to be this awesome dynamic duo. But we unfortunately didn't get that from them. But and then the Mavs unfortunately felt the need to sell to sell him at the deadline for very 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 little. Like and like one, by the way, one of those first round picks I forgot to mention is is the 2026 OKC Thunder pick. So that's literally going to be pick 30, or if they lose early, even if they lose early, that's still like a late. It's going to be like a mid to late 20s pick for sure. Um, so, and then also the second pick they got is like very protected. So, it's the trade package they got for AD is very sad, and it just you got to feel bad for Mavs fans somewhat, but but at the end of the day, they did get a Cooper Flag. They got Cooper Flag out of it, and also with the trade, one person justified it by saying, okay, now they've literally saved like $150 million in savings now, which okay, but the fact of the matter is you had Luka last year, and now you're bragging about cap space, so that's a really really tough situation to be in for sure.
Yeah, if they didn't have Cooper Flag, it would be a tough situation. But there's a chance that Cooper Flag is. You would rather have Cooper Flag on your team than Luka in a couple years.
I think that's a very high possibility as well. All right, Matt. You said you wanted to. Yes, see, we didn't even talk to Mins about the AD trade. Yeah, Matt. Did you want to? What other trade did you want to talk about?
Kind of an interesting trade.
Sure.
I talked to a couple of my Sixer fan friends about it. It's Jared McCain to the Thunder. Sixers got a first round pick from the Rockets and then 3 second rounders for McCain. So I was texting friend of the pod Drew Fitzpatrick and friend of the pod and teammate Pat Wirt about this trade, and they said that they moved on from Jared McCain because I guess he didn't fit the timeline or anything like that. Which I don't watch a ton of Sixer games, so I can't really comment on it. I know he was hurt at the beginning of the year, and he was hurt his rookie year, and he wasn't getting a ton of minutes because of the VJ Edgecombe Maxey backcourt duo. But I'm kind of shocked because last year he was in the running for rookie of the year. He was a super efficient scorer. He was seems like a great locker room guy. I'm shocked they couldn't find space for him, especially with the Paul George news where he's out for 25 games. But the Sixer fans seem to like him, but are upset that he's gone, but understand that why they had to trade him. So I think he's a very good get for the Thunder, especially they're probably going to let Lou Dort walk, so you get another guy that's on a rookie contract that Carson Wallace can take Lou Dort minutes, Jared McCain can take Wallace minutes, and so on. And I don't know how he is on defense. I know he's a good offensive player, but I think in the Thunder system, anyone can be a good defender. So we'll see how this works for them. Especially Shea's out with an oblique injury, and those can linger for a little bit. So he might get some burn early to see if he can fit.
Yeah, it's one of the sadder. I don't want to say it's sad yet because it's only been a little bit, but like this, I'm sure the part of the reason the Sixers feel a little more comfortable doing this is because both Maxey and VJ are looking awesome, so they don't want to let them go too much. But like I feel like they should have given it a little bit before just essentially just cutting him. Like and that's what that is. Like yeah, I feel like when you trade someone just for a second round pick straight up, or whatever they got. Was it 3 second rounders? Was it? Like
3 second rounders and a first from the Rockets this year.
Okay. So yes, a little better than I thought, but still like that, like it. And I know that and there was a report that came out, and I don't know how much I believe it, or Or I know it might be just like a thing. Someone said like, oh, Embiid apparently said they want it. He talked to the front office and said that he wants them to make a move to compete. Which I feel like I don't know if that's something that every superstar says. I feel like that could definitely be something that every superstar says. And then someone says like it was probably the Legion Hoops account that says like oh, this is our ownership responds. And like okay, the Sixers clearly aren't going to win the finals this year. Embiid's been playing awesome, so maybe the logical idea would be to try to go all in, but it is tough to try to build around Joel Embiid, like the timeline of Joel Embiid. I feel like you should build around the timeline of Tyrese Maxey, and I don't think that Jared McCain fits the timeline, especially with VJ Edgecomer alongside them. So, yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it was smart to get rid of Jared McCain, but I personally would have waited a little bit to see if he improved. But yeah, Nick Nurse and others just didn't feel like he had it in him, so that's unfortunate. But we know for a fact that he's gonna there's gonna be a night in the playoffs where he drops like 17 and 6 on like 58% from the field. So that's gonna happen at the minimum for sure. And there's before we dive into winners and losers, I think there's one more trade that I thought was just interesting. I think that's the only one. Oh no, it is not the only one because we still have one more star trade that we have not gotten into. And that is the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade, which I made a TikTok on, but you guys don't even need to add on more to it if you don't feel like it. But Jaren Jackson Jr. was traded from the to the Utah Jazz for Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Lawndale, and Vince Williams. I believe the Jock Lawndale was later flipped, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check that out in a second. And the Grizzlies got Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, a former Celtic, Georges Niang, and 3 future round picks. And the Grizzlies also, very underratedly, they created a 26.8 million TPE, which is the biggest of all. I saw somewhere say it was the biggest or 28.8 because I know the Gordon Hayward one was like 27 point something. That was the biggest one of all time at the time. So, so I'm one who was very much higher on Jaren Jackson Jr. than anyone was. Heading into the season, I had him at I think I had him at 22, so much higher than most people. Like at the end of the day, I saw him as a guy who can. I think he's a healthy top 3 to 5 defender in the league. I think that he can shoot the ball pretty well. I think that I know for sure that the Grizzlies were like John Morant was bad last year, but the Grizzlies, like, there were stretches where where they were the 2 seed because of Jaren Jackson Jr. So I believe in Jaren Jackson Jr. for sure. But I also don't think that he's worth giving up 3 first round picks for, especially to a team that is one of the worst in the league. You gotta love Danny Ainge, you gotta love him for his bold moves at times, but I think that he's becoming a little too much like his guy Pat Riley, and I never thought that I would say that come to this day, but I think that I think he's a little too old to be making these trades now, and that's especially when you're playing for an organization like the Utah Jazz. So, Danny, I gotta love you, but this was not one of your best moves, to say the least.
I do like the trio of Markkanen, Jackson, and George, though. I do think there is
Me too.
potential there, but it's just tough in the West. You got to have it's tough in the East too. You got to have a very good full loaded team. I mean, and I don't know how good. I don't know how far they can go with that trio next year.
I don't know how far they can go either.
Yeah.
All right, so we've dove into like most of the solid trades, or like I should say like the big headline trades. I think I want to talk about one more, but like before we do that, I think we're gonna just dive into biggest winners and losers. So I think what we'll do is I think we'll just go around the horn. John, you'll go first. Just and we can't say the same person, but John, you could tell me who you think is the biggest winner of the trade deadline. You muted? Okay, yeah, I'm sure. You're coughing. Never mind. Yeah. Should I pass off to Matt?
Yeah, for a second.
Yeah, got you at that time.
I kind of already touched on it, but not the biggest winner. But I would say definitely a winner is the Charlotte Hornets. I like their additions.
Okay.
I like their roster for next year. I think they're going to be a sleeper team. Also, no, it'll change it. The Washington Wizards, I think, are some of the best winners. They have a very exciting young core. I said that they would make the play-in this year as my hot take. It's not looking like they will. However, I think next year they'll be very, very fun to watch. They'll have a high ceiling, a high floor with Trae Young running things, and a lot of young guys that I like. I like their
Yeah,
team.
I didn't even mention them in the AD trade. I just talked about how bad the Mavs were. I didn't talk about how good the Wizards were. Yeah, they didn't give up many guys to trade for AD and trade for Trae. So both those guys are star players. Both of them at their peak. Trae Young at his peak was a top 20-ish player. AD was a top 5 player at his peak. But both of them, both their values were at an all-time low. And if you're an organization like the Wizards, why don't you say, hey, if we're going to give up nothing for these guys, why do we bring them in? We'll try to win games while we can. Try to build a winning culture here in DC with these young guys around us. Especially we're probably gonna have a top 5 pick this year. So, why the hell not? And I definitely think the Wizards can absolutely be a playoff team next year. Not even playing team. I definitely see a world where they can make the playoffs next year as like a top 6 seed.
So I'm never wrong just early is what we came to the result to about the Wizards, Chris.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think I ever doubted about the Wizards. I've always been pretty on board with their philosophy. Yeah, they weren't taking for they've been bad for years, but I don't think they've been taking for years though. What about you, John?
I might have to go with the Pacers, honestly.
Yeah.
I think getting Zubac was huge, kind of as a replacement for Miles Turner, like you mentioned earlier. And the fact that he's so young in a pretty moderate contract when you look at the other inflated contracts around the league. I think he's under contract till 28, 29. And yeah, they had to give up a good chunk. They had to give up picks, but I think they realized that when Halliburton comes back, they're not playing, for draft capital, right? They're playing for championships. So giving up multiple picks, I think it was 2 firsts and a second. And Matherin, I think, is really good. I think he's like very exciting young player, but wildly inconsistent and hurt frequently. So I think he's almost a bigger name than what his talent actually is, in my opinion. And locking down your big man of the next 3-4 years at a minimum is massive. And I think Halliburton, Siakam, they're going to play great with him.
Both great picks, and they honestly might be my top 2 picks as well. But I do have to pick one, so I am going to say Matt said the Wizards, and then John said the Pacers. So,
I have a question for you if when you're thinking, Chris.
Okay. You can go ahead and ask that, or unless you wanted me to give my pick first.
Do you have a pick?
Not yet.
Okay, so you can. It's a little food for thought. Do you think that the Milwaukee Bucks are winners or losers of this trade deadline?
I was thinking about them. I think that they are winners for sure.
And so Giannis has what, another year on his deal after this?
I believe so.
So you probably just trade him in the offseason anyway, but I don't know if they're winners or losers. Everything their front office does, I'm very hesitant to agree with.
I agree. I guess I'll call. I'll be biased. I'm gonna call Brad Stevens, more specific. Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics winners of the trade deadline. And I know that's biased, but at the end of the day, the Celtics they addressed a need, and they addressed a cap situation, and they've literally cut their salary by 80% while remaining, by the way, a top 2 to 3 team in the East, and within this trade, they didn't get rid of any of their key guys. They got rid of 3 guys that are at the end of the bench. So Minot wasn't at the end of the bench. He was just injured. But yeah, I've given him enough flowers, but I don't think I could definitely give him more. Brad Stevens definitely a winner of the trade deadline. So we'll go reverse around the horn for this one. And we'll talk. And you mentioned Giannis. We'll talk about Giannis after the segment. But the biggest loser of this trade deadline is Shams Charania. What a fraud! This is a guy who has been second time tonight that my mic cut out. So or not cut out that I actually need my mic, but yeah, this is a guy who competed with Woj. Like the two of them, it was always fun to see who would report the news first, and then Woj ends up quitting. And since then, Shams has basically just used this being like the number one reporter, like like Jeff Pash and Adam Schefter. He's used it as a guy just to create headlines for the past 2 years, like since Woj has been out of the game. And I think the way that he handled this Giannis situation has just been kind of shameless. If I'm being honest with you, he's just saying the way that he phrases things are just so weird, like just like so snaky. It says like, "Oh, the Bucks are ready to move on from Giannis before the trade deadline or in the offseason." Okay, you're gonna add in before or in the offseason as if that's like that's a pretty important part. Like I don't think that I don't know if the I think the Bucks were listening to trade offers to see what they could see, but they thought unless we're gonna be given the world, like unless we're gonna be given an all-star and like two great players and multiple picks, we're not getting rid of him. That's very justifiable on the Bucks end. But I just feel like he just hyped this up way too much, and between the whole like tweeting out deals without giving the full details, and even in some cases never giving out the full details. Like yeah, I read them off to Matt earlier. Like we were sitting on the couch. I have like multiple trades in our document that's like, that he just never fully tweeted out. Like like the Celtics traded Chris Boucher. They got this guy from the Jazz who's a good two-way
John
guy.
Niang.
John Niang. He just so very, very dissatisfied with John Sereni's work for sure. Biggest loser of the trade deadline, in my opinion.
I like that.
Perfect.
We miss Woj.
We do miss
Yeah.
Woj. Yeah. All right, Matt. Anyone else biggest loser?
Trying to think. Kristaps Porzingis has to play with Draymond Green. That's got to be tough. I would say Kristaps Porzingis. No, Draymond just sucks. I would say. Trying to think. I feel like there were no like fleece jobs.
I guess I'm not going to say it actually, but
a winner of the deadline is Jose Alvarado. Goes from playing in New Orleans to a contender in New York, his hometown. So
yeah.
I don't really have. I guess the Miami Heat. I feel like they were in on. Oh, the Memphis Grizzlies are losers in a way because they couldn't get off of John Morant.
Ooh, that's a good one.
John Morant being a massive, massive loser.
Absolutely.
No team wanted him because he stinks at basketball and stinks as a person. So.
He's a very bad basketball player. It's quite one of the and I was rooting for him last year. Like I know that Ori and I had a preseason show about giving awards, and he literally picked him to win an MVP. And I said he's going to make second team All NBA. So it's one of the bigger it's this isn't a situation where like he had too many haters. Like I think that plenty of people were rooting for him to come back and be great, and I was definitely one of those people. But it just didn't happen. Yeah,
he's like loved in Memphis, and like
he is loved in Memphis. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Chris Vernon. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he still gives him credit to this day. Yeah, he's definitely not who he used to be. There was one more loser that I literally just thought of, but I can't. Oh, the biggest loser. Sacramento Kings for sure. Yeah. They traded Keon Ellis, which like in a way that was justifiable, just because they wanted to, they wanted to get off Schroeder's contract, so they attached Ellis and then brought in DeAndre Hunter, who's just a random wing, which they needed a wing in fairness. And then they held on to Domantas Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine. Three guys who just. It's literally the Bulls from 2023. I'm not going to say 2022 because they were great in the beginning of the season with Lonzo, but it was the Bulls for 2.5 years, and when they traded for LaVine at first, I thought, okay, yeah, they're gonna flip DeRozan, obviously, because we already saw LaVine and DeRozan, and it was mid at best. And they're so like they're older and they're playing in the West now, so that just makes it far worse. And Sabonis is better than Vucevic was at the time, but even him, he hasn't played all season long. And when he has played, he's been
awful. He's been awful.
Yeah. I struck a nerve there with Matt, given that he drafted him. What was it? Was he your first pick or your second pick for your fantasy?
He was my first pick. Trae Young was my second pick.
Who's your first? Okay, Trey. Jesus Christ, yeah. So,
and then John Morant was my fourth pick.
Who's your third again?
I took Fox because I thought Scotty Barnes would fall because I didn't
That's
think
right.
he would take Scotty Barnes or Franz, and you took
Matt.
both of them.
I'm always going to take Scotty Barnes. He plays 3 positions. That's what I value the most in fantasy.
I know that now.
Yeah, I unfortunately value that more than me remembering to pick. Okay, no, I know actually I do set my lineup regularly, but I do forget to. I'm not as active on the waivers, unfortunately. Yeah, I get a little.
Yeah, you are not as active on the waivers as I am, even though my team is way worse than your team this year.
Yeah, that's okay though.
My team stinks.
What do you want, a 7-game losing streak? Or is there more than that? It's
I'm 4-10. I'm 4-10. I was 4-5.
Okay. Yeah. So
no, I was 4-4. I was
4-4. Okay, so it is 6 games then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess before we step out, I think what we'll do, we'll do this quick fun thing. I'm gonna list off buyout candidates, and I want there's an article from Sports Illustrated. And I want you to tell me what for John. John will come back to. You can just join whenever. And you'll tell me where you think this player is going to sign. Probably the biggest name out there, Chris Paul.
Where did he get traded to?
The Raptors. And he's
they're going to buy him out.
And he's not expected to report to camp.
Okay.
Or whatever they call it, or facility. So where will Chris Paul sign?
Houston.
If he does sign. Houston. I didn't even think about them. Okay. What do you think, John? Chris Paul?
Charlotte Hornets.
That'd be quite the spin, huh? Charlotte, yeah. Maybe the Pelicans, maybe the Spurs, like he did last year. He was happy there. Maybe Phoenix. Phoenix is looking pretty good this year, so maybe you want to retire there. OKC. People talked about OKC, but I feel like they have enough guards at this point. Yeah. I'll say the Spurs. The Spurs have a lot of guards too, but he's going to be literally the 14th guy on the team. So. As long as he promises not to be a pain in the ass, I think, which I know that's a lot to ask for Chris Paul, not to be a pain in the ass, but yeah. So next guy up, Lonzo Ball.
Tel Aviv in Israel with Yabusele.
Yabuselli's going to play in the NBA, right?
Yeah. Oh, you guys didn't see that report?
No.
He got traded to the Bulls because he reworked his deal, but there was rumors that he was gonna opt out of his contract and play overseas in Israel.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna, yeah. That's why I was confused because I saw the trade. I'm like, what do you mean he got traded to the? Yeah.
You have one?
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets.
The Boston Celtics.
Oh, I did see.
I think that the Celtics need another ball handler, and I think that he won't really play a lot, but I think he can be a fun addition because there have been a couple of times where his name has come up for the Celtics. I know in 2021 it was a big one when the Celtics were at their lowest. That would have been their big signing, but maybe why not buy him now when he's at its lowest?
I don't hate that. No.
Yeah. Sorry.
Him and Conley was what I haven't seen with the Celtics.
Conley was my next one.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. We can still say the same thing for Conley.
Boston.
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Maybe the Memphis Grizzlies. Honestly, he'll you can I'm sure he's gonna retire soon. Why not go back to the team then? Why not go back to the team where he's debatably the go to that team? I think he's definitely top 5. I don't know if he's the GOAT, but probably top 3. Yeah, I think Marcus Gasol's probably 1. He might be number 2. There's one. Was there one more that I wanted to talk about? Maybe. There's at least one more. I'm trying to see if there's someone else I want to bring up before him. How about friend of the pod, Liam McAllister, his guy Cam Thomas.
The Kings.
Yeah, because they stink.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because they stink and never make any right move ever. There's
one more that I just saw now. I don't know if he's actually. Yeah, speaking of the Kings, Someone said DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if the Kings would actually buy him out. This is a pretty expensive
I
contract.
saw a report that said they will not, if they don't trade him, they will
yeah,
not buy him
yeah.
out.
I was gonna say I don't think
I'd
so.
say he is going to play at the Cage on West 4th Street in the West Village.
Yeah. So yeah, for whatever reason, I thought it was a more well balanced buyout market, but it looks like it's just a bunch of guards, not many bigs that are getting bought out. Unless there are some that like I'm not seeing, or some that may be surprises, but who knows? But I think that's it. We took up the entire hour talking about the trade deadline, and I was afraid that we were going to run out of space, but or not run out of space. We're going to have to find time to fill up, but luckily we didn't have to do that. But yeah, so we got an awesome rest of the season ahead of us. I'm very, very excited for that. I kind of just talked out like it was hard to come up with winners and losers, but I am planning on. I don't know if I am, but I'm planning on writing an article, hopefully by tonight, of the winners and losers of the NBA trade deadline. So be on the lookout for that. Also, very, very important. I'm pissed at this for not posting right before the pod, but be sure to follow my Instagram. I'm going to mention it. I'm going to mention it as in my closing statement, but like follow me on Instagram because I'm doing my new series where I'm doing polls for my top 10 players all time. No, not top 10. We're going down the list. So I start off the poll with MJ versus LeBron. You guys, my fans picked Jordan. So Jordan was 1, LeBron was 2. And then I did okay. So my 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th best player we'll do a poll for, and then Kareem won, and then the next day my 7th best player added onto the poll. So that was Tim Duncan. So Bird is, according to my fans, is the 4th. It's the 4th best player, and then today Tim Duncan was determined that Tim Duncan is the 5th best player of all time. So tonight's poll. So I'm going to post it tonight, and it'll go into tomorrow. So and then I'll probably take off tomorrow and then maybe post it during the day on Saturday. But it'll be tomorrow. Yeah. So tonight and tomorrow it will be Bill Russell versus Magic Johnson versus Shaquille O'Neal versus Kobe Bryant. So 1 Celtic versus 3 Lakers. So that's my new project, and I'm very, very excited to work on it. But as far as it goes for the show, John Matz, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. I just went on a tangent about my Instagram, but also be sure to follow me on TikTok and on Twitter. I've been much more active on TikTok lately, so I've been very happy to be back in the game for that. Check out my additional content, which includes Fluent versus Chill versus Everyone. We've had an awesome time. And it's been awesome hosting a show with the face of NBA TikTok, Chilltown, Jermaine, aka Chilltown. He's been awesome. And also check out my column on sportsfluent.com. So this has been another episode of the All American Hoops Podcast. Until next time, keep grinding and stay hooping. Have a great night, everybody.